about this before. The triple underpass was headed. He was just a few seconds away from the car getting off of Elm Street and turning on to Interstate 77, Highway 77. Some interesting things have happened on that highway. But even, and I found this actually watching a documentary and some film footage taken of JFK the day that he was assassinated, including a clip of the automobile that he was in, the particular presidential limousine that he was in, the license plate bearing the letters GG. Now, let me pull Albert Pike here out. Albert Pike in Morals and Dogma talks all about the Masonic square and compass. The Masonic square and compass usually will have the letter G in the middle of it. And everybody's going, what does that G stand for? Does that stand for God? They say it stands for geometry. Sometimes, I mean, you can say it stands for gravel. I mean, who knows? But one of the things that I do know is that Masons love to use letters as substitutes for numbers. So we go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So G is the seventh letter. And here we have a mysterious number 7 represented by the G in the square and the compass. 7 would represent the heads of the beast, or the spirit of Antichrist that is already at work right now. But here we have on the license plate of the presidential limousine the letters GG. 77, right on the very car carrying the president, who was 46 years old. That's an interesting number too. On the 11th month, 22nd day, near the 33rd parallel, heading to Highway 77. And here again, the innocent was killed by the guilty. Okay, think about this. Think about what, and you remember where you were. It was a paradigm shift. It was an awakening. It woke us up, and that image was burned in our mind for some reason. Here we have Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan killed on the 30th day of the 3rd month. 330 again. There's that number 33 again. And I said he was killed. He was shot. He nearly died. He was shot by an assassin's bullet. A crazy man. Someone that was hearing voices. I wonder who those voices were. Was shot in Washington, D.C., which is on the 77th meridian, line of longitude. There the two numbers are again. We mentioned Highway 77. Did you know that Highway 77 runs through a little town called Waco, Texas? And just outside of Waco, Texas, you have the Branch Davidian compound. And a man by the name of David Koresh, who was murdered, him and all the people in his compound, by agents of the U.S. government. Okay? I say murdered. That's what I think they were. They were murdered inside this compound, at the Branch Davidian compound, right close to Highway 77. David Koresh was 33 years old. The very next year, a man by the name of Timothy McVeigh and others planted some bombs on a building. The name of the building was called the Alfred P. Murrah Building. Now, something that I found out about Alfred P. Murrah, he was a 33rd degree Mason. I don't know if you knew that or not. In an examination of the building, we see the building was made of 3 rows of 11 pillars. This building was basically a gigantic number 33, and Timothy McVeigh and others were responsible for bringing this building down, which is very, very close to, again, Interstate 77 in Oklahoma City. And Timothy McVeigh, of course, is the only one that they nailed for this thing. And they waited until he turned 33 before they put him on a table, stretched his arms out like this, and killed him. Then we go to September 11th, 2001. Now here's where it gets really interesting. We're going to see both the numbers here, not just separately, but we're going to see them together. And then we're going to go back to the Scriptures. I want you to understand this. We have on September 11th, there's that number 11 there. We have on September 11th a man by the name of Muhammad Atta, who decides to fly. You know, just woke up one morning and said, you know what? Oh, I think I'll fly a plane into a building and kill a bunch of people for Allah. Spirits were definitely at work. Here we have the murderers killing the innocent. Muhammad Atta was, he was 33 years of age. 33. 9/11. 9/11. 9 times 11, that's 99. You break that down, that's 33 times 3. The lights that they lit, the 88 lights that they shot up into the heavens, were lit every night for exactly, I couldn't believe this when I saw it, exactly 33 nights in a row to commemorate the murderers killing the innocent people. Are you getting here with me? And then on the same day, we have Flight 77 flying into the Pentagon building, a giant pentagram on the 77th meridian, and the Pentagon building is exactly 77 feet tall. They built it that way for some reason. So we have the grouping of these numbers together again, and again we have a paradigm shift. You remember, I remember where I was when I heard about Waco, when I was watching it on TV. I remember where I was when I heard about Oklahoma City. I remember where I was, what I was doing when I heard about September 11th, 2001. It's all about awakening us. It's all about planting images, the same images in different ways into our minds. And it occurred to me one day that these numbers working together, 77 and 33, when you add them together, you end up with the number 110, which would be 11 times 10. Now, the number 11 is a very, very interesting number because actually, we can actually go, speaking of 9/11, we can actually go to a place in the Bible that sort of gives us an idea concerning the numbers 9 and the number 11. When we look in Revelation chapter 9, we have the 5th angel sounding. There's your pentagram right there. There's the pattern of that. And the 5th angel sounds, a star falls from heaven. These murderers climb up out of the pit. They escape out of the pit, out of prison, and they go after mankind, and they have a king over them. A king who rules over them. His name is Abaddon. His name is Apollyon. Those both mean destroyer. And it's in Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, that we find out that they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. See, those numbers just keep showing up in things. Here we have 77 people dead starting at 3:30 in the afternoon, and the dates, the month 7 and 11, the year, or the day 22 and 11, the particular day. So we have 77:33 working together again. The number of people dead. It's just startling to me what's going on in this world. Adding the two numbers together, as I said a while ago, we have 110, 11 times 10, which just happens to be the exact number of stories that the World Trade Tower was. 110 stories, each one of them 110 stories tall. I bet you didn't know that. Unless, of course, you saw our Babel Conspiracy video or read the book about that. And if you don't have those, just call our ministry and we'll get you those, both the book and the video. We'll give you the details of the Alfred P. Murrah building and all the things that we've talked about so far. It just seems like the conspiracy is at work. And here again, if you believe in an earth conspiracy of men working together, how in the world can they orchestrate all of this stuff to make it work so perfectly? Doesn't make sense. If, however, you believe that spirits are part of the conspiracy, then it begins to make sense. We see the spirit of murder, spiritual wickedness in high places, the Bible refers to in the book of Ephesians. When we understand that spirits are at work here, we don't need CIA mind control techniques. We don't need the Illuminati. We don't need the inability of men or even the supermen, the way some people believe. We don't need those necessarily to make the conspiracies make sense. All we need to know is that there are spirits that are more powerful than man and actually control and manipulate certain men and certain people by way of subtlety, by way of manipulation, even by way of downright satanic or demonic manifestations or possessions in their life. Then the conspiracy begins to make sense. But we always like to, when we see what's going on here, we always like to go back to the Scriptures. And so this number 110, I just decided to do some counting. And I counted to the 110th chapter of the Bible. See, I'm just one of these weird people that thinks that God wrote the Bible. How dare I? I think that God wrote the Bible. I think that He laid it out in perfect order. I think God is not the author of confusion. I think God authored perfect order. I believe in the order of the Scriptures. I believe that God speaks in order, and it's all laid out for us in the Scriptures. And when I look in the 110th chapter of the Bible, when I look in Leviticus chapter 20, okay, I gave you time to count it yourself, and I don't know why you didn't, but when we look in Leviticus chapter 20, here's some of the interesting things that we see prophesied, warned against, forbidden in Leviticus chapter 20. Leviticus chapter verse 2, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech. Stop right here. This was a nasty, despicable practice that the heathen did, the pagans, the devilish, infested people did. This is what they did. They took their innocent children and they handed them over to the murderer, the God who murders the innocent ones. Sounds like abortion to me. They took their children, their own flesh and blood, their seed, as it's referred to here. They took and gave their seed over to the murderer. This is all recorded for us now in the 110th chapter of the Bible. He said, whoever giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And let me stop right here. Stoning with stones is, you'll see it all throughout the law. It is actually a prefiguring. It's actually a prophecy. The law is prophesying here of what's going to happen, what's going to befall mankind in the last days. In Daniel chapter 2, remember the image. And it has the head of gold, the chest of silver, the legs of brass, and it has the feet of part iron, part clay. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And what is it that brings this idle shepherd down? What is it that brings this leader, this king of the bottomless pit down? It's the stone cut without hands, and that stone is Jesus Christ. And so when you see in the language, the beautiful language of the King James Bible, when you see a commandment saying stone them with stones, that is a prophecy of the Lord Jesus Christ Himself coming down from heaven and stoning mankind, crushing them, destroying them. That is God's judgment upon the iniquity and the law-breaking of mankind. Verse 3, he said, I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man, and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a-whoring after him, to commit whoredom with Molech, from among their people. Now it's interesting that one of the other places in the Bible that we find Molech mentioned, you know, this nasty, wicked, murdering, bloodthirsty God, one of the other places that we find Molech mentioned, we find associated with our buddy Solomon. The Freemasons love Solomon. They think, well, he's our guy. Why do they think that? Well, number one, he built a temple. Number two, it probably had